I forgot to put this in the video. The way my content works is we do the Warhammer 40k lore first, then we get to the biblical lore, and then we round back to the Warhammer 40k lore at the end. Welcome to Warhammer 40k lore in the Bible, where I pull from Warhammer 40k lore to help explain biblical lore. And today we're going over Imotekh the Stormlord. But before we get into the video, take the wikis with a grain of salt. Now, I'm not a lore expert. Also, my regular biblical videos will be exclusively to the Mean Green website that starts with an R. If you want to check that out, information's in the layout there. But if you like what you see, please consider a like and subscription, as that what pushes the video out there. And I thank you all for supporting the video, whether you dislike it or like it. But anyways, let's get started. Imotekh, also known as Imotekh the Stormlord, or simply the Stormlord, is the Pharaon of the Imotekh dynasty, and perhaps the strongest and most accomplished Necron overlord in the galaxy at the end of the 41st millennium. Imotekh rules over a Necron stellar empire currently comprising 80 tomb worlds. Renowned for his supreme strategic genius and pride, he has led successful campaigns across entire sectors to expand his growing realm against the lesser sentient races of the galaxy. So now we're in the history. Nemesor Imotekh awoke from the great sleep of 60 million standard years to find his tomb world in disarray. Mandragora had survived the aeons mostly intact, only to fall foul of unrestrained ambition. The Imotekh Crown World's ruling Pharaon had been one of the few to perish during hibernation, and once they had quashed immediate alien threats, the remaining Imotekh nobles had moved to seize the throne. A Terran decade of internecine civil war followed, with no faction able to gain victory. During this time, the revivification of high-ranking nobles was suspended, as neither side wished to awaken further competitors. Had the situation continued, Imotekh would likely have slumbered until the civil war had torn Mandragora apart. As it was, one of the pretenders struck upon the idea of recruiting the famous general to his cause. With such a supporter in thrall, victory could not fail to be his. However, when Imotekh awoke, he was both enraged and appalled at the anarchy about him, realizing that Mandragora's only hope of restoration lay in the civil war ending as swiftly as possible. He refused to support either noble faction. Instead, Imotekh marshaled an army of his own, destroying the chief antagonists, and claimed Mandragora's throne for himself. The newly crowned Pharaon thereafter forbade any form of infighting within his realm, declaring such activities to be a waste of time, effort, and resources. Facts. This law was ill-observed at first, but quickly became the norm after Imotekh had proven his willingness to make terminal examples of those who flouted his authority. Between this roll of iron and swift strong of military success against nearby worlds, Imotech's position became unassailable. Indeed, to this day, his only true rival within Imotekh dynasty is the famous Nemesor Zondrek, of the crown world Gidrim. But the old general's loyalty is as unquestionable as his wits are addled, so he is of little threat. Alright, so we're going to move down here to personality. Imotekh is a grand strategist, perhaps the most accomplished the galaxy has ever known. His campaigns operate not only across worlds, but across entire star systems and sectors. When Imotekh launches an attack, it is impossible to discern if it is the main thrust of his strategy or simply a decoy raid, created to bleed enemy reinforcements away from the battle yet to come. All such assaults are carefully weighted to overwhelm enemy forces already in place, requiring the foe to either sacrifice his troops or reinforce them. And Imotech's plans are always many stages ahead, set to take advantage of either course. Indeed, the Stormlord's battle plans are incredibly versatile, seeded with feint attacks, counter strategies, and other contingencies enacted automatically should certain circumstances be triggered or thresholds crossed. To the outside observers, there is something almost mystical to Imotek's methodology. For how else he could so flawlessly anticipate the unseen. Yet, in truth, there is nothing more at play here than the careful application of probabilities and logic, combined with canny understanding of the foe's mindset. And 60 million years might help with that too as well, but anyways. So impeccable are the logical patterns behind the Stormlord strategies that the only way a foe can truly gain meaningful advantage is abandon all logic themselves, something that most enemies find incredibly difficult to do. However, Orcish anarchy achieves this and naturally as breathing. Thus does the Stormlord hate orcs above all the lesser races of the galaxy, for, no matter how hard he tries, he rarely wins a lasting victory over the rabblesome greenskins. Yet, lasting victories against the orcs there must be, for Imotech's goal is nothing less to wipe them from the face of the galaxy. The Stormlord is unshakable in his belief that only when the galaxy is washed clean with the red mist of inferior beings will Necron dominance begin anew. As Pharaon of the Imotekh dynasty, Imotekh can draw upon incredible resources, for all the armies of the entire dynasty are at his requisition at need. Yet the Stormlord knows that the foe, all other sentient life in the galaxy, is too numerous to be defeated through force of arms alone. Thus, for Imotekh, terror is a weapon as potent as any of the Necron arsenal, and one he employs to full effect. His armies advance under the cover of storm-blackened skies, emerald lightning bolts arcing out from heavy clouds to wreak carnage against the foe. Enemy armies that advance into the shadow of the storm are simply swallowed up, cut off from all contact whilst the battle lasts. Any warriors that escape from the Maelstrom's clutches do so only to sow panic, fear, and dismay amongst their comrades. Worse, some such survivors are implanted with red mist swarm nanoscarabs, whose gore-warm scent acts as the interresistible beacon for roaming packs of flayed ones. If the Stormlord has one weakness, it is a prideful need to display his superiority over those enemy commanders foolish enough to stand against him. High-ranking enemies are often set free upon their defeat so that they will have to live with the knowledge of their inadequacy. This is a lesson invariably reinforced by physical mutilation, a severed limb normally being the favored method. Yet, with every battle, these surviving foes learn a little more of the Stormlord's methods, and the best of them only become more determined to see his campaigns ended once and for all. High Marshal Helbrecht of the Black Templars, in particular, has run the Stormlord close on more than one occasion, though victory has thus far eluded his armored grasp. The fact that Imotekh suffers from such a personal form of martial hubris stands in stark contrast to the analytical and emotionless detachment he displays when planning and conducting campaigns. It is possible that stasis-induced eccentricity is to blame, but for which trait? Is Imotekh a master strategist whose engrammatic damage spurs him to seek personal glory, or the bellicose warrior granted strategic genius through an accident of fate? In the end, it does not matter. If Imotech's defeat comes, it is sure not to be at the hands of the superior strategist, but rather at the hands of more accomplished warrior, and there will be many opportunities for such a downfall. Imotech's domain is growing at a rate unparalleled amongst the Necron dynasties. For fourscore tomb worlds lie under his regal command, and 5 times as many alien-held planets, paid direct or indirect tribute. The number of alien civilizations Imotekh has destroyed during his campaigns cannot easily be counted. Such a realm is nothing when compared to the galaxy-spanning Imperium or the Necron dynasties of the height of the glory during the War in Heaven. But it is nonetheless impressive for the work of mere 200 Terran years. Such expansion has come at a price. However, Imotech's dynasty is now starting to come to the notice of several other realms. On Macragge, reports of Necron activity beyond the realm of Ultramar's northern borders have reached the attention of Marnius Calgar, chapter master of the Ultramarines. Iadin's Farseers have sensed a peril before their craft world, that is, in its way, or as a great threat as the Tyranian menace that lies behind them. Rumors of sinister power on the march have even reached the Tau Empire, though, as ever, their prevailing interpretation is one of opportunity rather than threat. It is only a matter of time before Sautek dynasty comes into direct conflict with these other realms, and if forced to war with two or more at the same time, Imotech's genius will surely be tested. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the biblical side of things here. So we're going to start with this god, Hadad. This is Baal in the Bible. So when you hear Baal or Baal Zephon, it's this guy. Okay, so Hadad or Adad or Iskur was the storm and rain god in the Canaanite and ancient Mesopotamian religions. He was attested in Ebla as Hadad in circa 2500 BCE. From the Levant, Hadad was introduced to Mesopotamia by the Amorites, where he became known as the Akkadian god Adad. Alright, so we're going to go down here. We're going to see he mounts this rebellion against Lucifer. You say, huh? What are you talking about? I'll show you here. In all three of these mythologies here. So in religious texts, Baal, Hadad, is the lord of the sky who governs rain and crops, master of fertility, and protector of life and growth. His absence brings drought, starvation, and chaos. Texts of the Baal or Baal cycle, you could say Baal or Baal, don't matter, are fragmentary and assume much background knowledge. The supreme god El resides on Mount Lel, or Night, where the assembly of the gods meet. I wonder if that's Hermon, but anyways, I digress. Hermon is where the angels came down, where the book of Enoch says the angels came down and bind themselves to do what they did. We'll just say. Anyways, so at the beginning of the cycle, there appears to be a feud between El and Baal. Pay attention to that part, because we see, like with Zeus, he rebels against Kronos and Rhea. But very interesting stuff. Okay. So El and Baal. So El appoints one of his sons, called both Prince Yam. See, isn't there a beast that comes up out of the sea? Anyways, and Judge Nahar, the river, the deep. Anyways, I digress. As king over the gods, and changes Yam's name from YW to MDDIL, or El, or Darling of El, El tells his son that he will have to drive off Baal to secure the throne. In this battle, Baal is somehow weakened, but the divine craftsman Kothar Wa Kasis crafts two magic clubs for Baal's as weapons that help Baal strike down Yam, and Baal is supreme. Okay. So we're going to go here. This is Marduk. In Mesopotamian religion, the chief god of the city of Babylon and the national god of Babylonia. As such, he was eventually called simply Bel, or Lord. Originally, he seems to have been a god of thunderstorms. Okay, we're going to see that comes into play a lot with this character. A poem known as the Enuma Elish and dating from the reign of Nebuchadnezzar I, relates Marduk's rise to such prominence or preeminence that he was the god of 50 names, each one of that deity or of a divine attribute. After conquering the monster of primeval chaos, Tiamat, who is that? The deep, right? In the Bible. Or the Leviathan. Here, you know what? Let me bring this up. Not the ones I've already brought up. This is who it's talking about right here. So we gone over who the deep is, but I want to give you more information on it. Right. So Isaiah 27:1. In that day, the Lord with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, ready? That crooked serpent. He shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. Interesting. Yeah. He became Lord of the gods of heaven and earth. So he became it. So pay attention to that part. All nature, including humanity, owed his existence to him. The destiny of kingdoms and subject was in his hands. Marduk's chief temples at Babylon were the Esagila and the Etemenaki. I'm sorry, guys. A ziggurat with the shrine of Marduk on top. In the Isagila, the poem Enuma Elish was recited every year at the New Year festival. The goddess named most often as the consort of Marduk was Zarpanitu. Okay. Hold on a second, guys. I apologize. I gotta find where... Hold on. I'm sorry. See if I can find it here. I'm trying to find out where he rebels. Okay, he was left by unnamed ruler. Okay. Okay. Similar L. Marduk appeared in oaths and several names, years. Hold on a second. Right, so Marduk defeats Quiningu and deletes Tiamat by arrowing her with an arrow which splits her in two. From her eyes flow the waters of Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Again, there's those rivers, right? That deep set him up on high with her rivers. Okay, that's in the Bible, by the way. That's the verse that I brought up in Abaddon, the Despoiler one, if you want to check that out. Okay. So you guys are seeing a pattern here. This guy rose up and ended Lucifer, right? Now, here's Set. So Set is a god of deserts, storms, disorder, violence, and foreigners in ancient Egyptian religion. In ancient Greek, the god's name is given as Seth or Set. Had a positive role where he accompanies Ra on his Baku to repel Apap, Apophis, the serpent of chaos. Isn't that interesting? We see here, right? He's battling primeval chaos, or the monster of primeval chaos, Tiamat. Tiamat is a Leviathan, right? Or a water serpent. Or you could say a Hydra if you want. Maybe. I don't know if she has multiple heads or not, but I'm sure she does. But anyways, I digress. So we see this this chaos serpent and all this stuff, right? This guy rebelling against his brother in pretty much a lot of mythologies, right? And as you guys know, I don't believe that they were copying each other. I believe they're all telling the same story, but told by their god, right? Is the simple way of explaining that, in my opinion. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Serpent of Chaos. Okay. Set had a vital role as a reconciled combatant. He was lord of the Red Land, or desert, where he was the balance to Horus's role as the lord of the Black Land, the fertile land. In the Osiris myth, ready? The most important Egyptian myth, Set is portrayed as the usurper who deleted and mutilated his own brother Osiris. Now, the Egyptian goddess, right? Basically, the Egyptian goddess resurrects Osiris. So, as you can see with all these Bible verses, Baal had a hold on Israel. So, Jeremiah 23:13. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied in Baal and caused my people or Israel to err. Jeremiah 7:9. Will ye steal, delete, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense unto Baal, and walk after other gods whom ye know not? Jeremiah 2:8. The priest said not, Where is the Lord? And they that handled the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me. I wonder if that sounds like today or not. But anyways, and the prophets prophesied by Baal and walked after things that do not profit. Interesting. 1 Samuel 7:4. Then the children of Israel did put away Balaam and Asherah and served the Lord only. Okay, so Balaam and Ashtaroth, this is basically Baal and this thing, or his consort, I guess you could say. But anyways, so an Ashtoreth pole is a sacred tree or pole that stood near Canaanite religious locations to honor the goddess Asherah. The relation of the literally reference to an Asherah and archaeological finds that Judean pillar figurines has engendered a literature of debate. The Asherim were also occult objects related to worship of Asherah, the consort of either Baal or inscriptions from Kuntalet, Jarud, and Kerbet El Quam attest Yahweh. And these objects contention among compelling cults. See what? I'll just say this. Let me bring this up. So I know this has been a hot topic, right? Within the Hebrew roots and all that stuff. What is the name of God? Well, we don't know. Right here. Each sect has their own different name, Yahweh, Yahuwah, and all this stuff. So I want to get this out there. Revelation 19:12 and 14. I used to be a part of the Hebrew root stuff, so I know what I'm talking about here. His eyes were a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written, ready, pay attention to this part, folks, that no man knew but he himself. Okay, simple, isn't it? We don't know the name of God, so I want to get that out there. And thus, objects of contention, blah, 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 translation of the Hebrew Bible translate Hebrew words Asherim, or Asheroth, or the Asherah poles. And it's a tree, basically. It's a sacred tree or pole. Okay. So now we're going to get into this, because we're going to bring up here the staff of the destroyer. Now pay attention to this. Isaiah 10:5. O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. Isn't that interesting? So this destroyer has a staff. Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14:5. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked. Ready? And the scepter of the rulers. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Anyways. I don't know why I brought that up. Okay. So now we're going to get into the staff of the destroyer. The staff of the destroyer is an ancient ornamental Necron staff weapon carried by the Pharaon Imotekh the Stormlord, though it was first wielded by Zehet and founder of Zehet dynasty. It was since been wielded by all the Zehet's successors and has seen battle in the hands of everyone. The staff of the destroyer is not only a symbol of his august rank for Imotekh, but also an unbelievably powerful weapon. Upon the battlefield, it can unleash a searing beam of pan-dimensional energy that can make a mockery of even the most heavily armored foes. However, there is a small consolation for Imotech's enemies, as the staff takes a significant amount of time to recharge its power for another blast. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I want to thank everyone for supporting the video, those who liked it, disliked it. Thank you for at least giving me a chance. And enjoy your guys' weekends, and you guys have a wonderful day.